Hello, buddy. Welcome back to the Tin Man Score channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I'm kicking off my new Spooky Vibes marathon for you guys. And the first video I'll be reacting to is 3 horrifying cruise ship horror stories, hence why I'm wearing my beach hat and sunglasses. So without further ado, I'm going to turn these lights off, move the camera up here for you guys, and let's get this reaction on the road in the bag, shall we? Okay, here we go.
Here's a fun fact. Did you know that cruise ships have jails on them? If you did, good for you. If you didn't, then you're like me. And believe me, I found out the hard way. Back in 2018, my family decided that we were going to take a vacation on a cruise ship.
Okay.
None of us had ever been on one, and we thought this would be a great first-time experience with the family.
Hey, I've never been on a cruise ship either, but I never thought they would have jails on them. Well, where are they going to put people that misbehave on the cruise ship? They had to put them somewhere, I guess, until they get back at the docks and let the police pick them up. But that's really astonishing to hear that they have a jail on a cruise ship.
We docked from Miami, Florida for a 7-day trip that would take us to the Bahamas. As a 17-year-old girl at the time, I was super excited to finally see why so many people love to go on cruises. And honestly, as the week went by, it wasn't at all exciting. You're pretty much on a floating hotel with a bunch of strangers. The only actual fun time that I had was when we docked in the Bahamas and we could walk around and check out the area. But as we were heading back to Miami on the 7th day, I decided that I wanted to walk around the bow of the ship by myself. It was late. The rest of my family was in the dining hall, drinking and celebrating our last night on the cruise. I was leaning on the rail of the bow, just staring out into the black ocean. If I'm being honest, it was actually terrifying looking out. I remember thinking, what if someone fell overboard? You wouldn't be able to see them. As I continued to stare out into the black ocean, I remember the moon reflecting the necklace that I was wearing. It was my grandmother's. She had given it to me as a gift just before she passed away a few years back. As I was reminiscing of my grandmother and the terrifying dark ocean before me, a man approached me. Now, at this moment in the story, I was a little tipsy. The man seemed to be pretty cute, and my guard wasn't all the way up. He said hello and asked for my name. We started to chat a bit when I suddenly realized how alone we were. It was just us two by the bow of the ship talking.
This will be a bad time to be a little tipsy right now, because that guy might have some sinister thoughts to take the necklace and probably push you overboard. But she needs to think clearly and get away from this guy quick before he does something horrible.
I didn't see another person at all. This fact alone started to sober me up. Even though he was cute, I started to get this uncomfortable feeling. I nervously told him I needed to get back to the dining hall. I was walking away when he grabbed my arm, hard. I told him to let go. He looked at my chest and said, "That's a lovely necklace." I tried to yank my arm away from his grasp, but he was too strong. He tore the necklace clean off my neck. I started to scream at him to give it back. This is where it becomes nightmarish. He slapped me hard across my cheek and started to bear hug me. He was trying to lift me up and throw me off the bow of the ship. I screamed at the top of my lungs. I screamed so loudly that I thought my throat was going to tear. I fought for my life as he aggressively tried to lift me up over the railing and throw me over. By the grace of God, 2 crew members heard my screams and sprinted over. One of them grabbed hold of a man, while the other grabbed me and pulled me back down from the railing.
Oh, thank God. If no crew members or any other guests did not hear her scream, she would have been a goner, for sure. Probably drowned in the ocean. And that guy would have scurried off with her necklace when they poured it back in Miami.
At this point, I was bawling my eyes out. The crew members radioed for backup, and in 2 minutes, there was about 10 security members at the scene. They detained the man and threw him in the brig. I remember wondering what the brig was when one of the crew members said that it was the jail cell that they have on the ship. And that is exactly how I found out that cruise ships have jails. My family eventually came to me, and I was returned my grandmother's necklace. In the end, the cruise liner offered us a full refund and a 5-year pass in their first-class suites. And as for the guy who attacked me, when we docked in Miami, he was arrested for assault. I don't know what his sentence was. I hope you enjoyed my fun fact.
I mean, yeah, I enjoyed the fun fact of knowing that there's a jail cell on cruise ships. I wouldn't think they would have something like that. But then, again, if you have disgruntled guests that like to either murder or steal on the ship, then you got to have something to hold them until you get back to port on the mainland and then have the cops arrest him there. But yeah, I hope he gets some sort of a long sentence for trying to throw a guest overboard and steal a necklace. That's just wrong. But thankfully, she is fine, and I'm glad that the cruise liner gave him a pass to go in first class next time they travel with them, because nobody should experience that while on a cruise.
What do you think causes people to snap? Is it stress, jealousy, rage, maybe cabin fever? I don't really have an answer, but you need to listen to this.
To answer that question, I'll say all of the above, but it's different for everybody. But anyway, let's just see why he asked that question on this story, shall we?
A few years ago, my boyfriend at the time bought us 2 tickets for a getaway cruise vacation. He had just been promoted in his job, and he decided to splurge and get us first class. It was honestly one of the most luxurious experiences that I've ever had.
Oh, that is amazing. I mean, if I was working in some corporate type job and I got promoted to a higher position, heck yeah, I would do something like this too. I mean, imagine first class and you get to see something like this and look out in the ocean. Man, that would be a dream to live and enjoy.
It sounds corny, but I felt like Rose on the Titanic, the way the staff treated us. We were having a great time. We'd see live performances during the day and go dancing in one of the private clubs they had for their exclusive members during the nights. Well, one night, I believe it was the night before the ship was to head back to port in New York, me and my boyfriend decided to go to bed early. We were in our cabin suite. My boyfriend was brushing his teeth in the bathroom, and I was lying on the bed scrolling through Instagram when there was a loud knock on our door. I called out to my boyfriend and asked if he ordered room service. He yelled back that he didn't. I got up from the bed and went to the door. I was about to open it, but decided to look through the peephole instead. I believe this small action was what saved our lives. And as I looked through the peephole, I saw a disheveled-looking man standing in front of our door. He was breathing heavily, his eyes were wide, and there were red stains smeared all over him.
Oh, heck no. Quietly jump back and alert your boyfriend what's going on and call the front desk or the captain of the cruise ship and see if they could get somebody to go grab that man. Because if he's got stained blood on him, he probably just killed somebody on that ship. And they need to grab him quick and before he decides to jump off the ship. But also, I would be annoyed if somebody knocked on the door and I didn't order no food or asked anybody to come to the room.
I didn't quite know what to think as I stared at him. 30 seconds must have passed when he started banging on our door again, but this time, much harder. The door handle started to jiggle as he tried to get in, and I yelled for my boyfriend to get over here now. The man was now screaming that he needs to come in and show us something. My boyfriend pushed past me and looked through the peephole. He yelled to get the fuck away from our door right now. The man did not listen. He continued to bang on our door, screaming to let him in. He was banging so hard that the edges of the door started to splinter. Terrified that he was going to break in and do God knows what to us, my boyfriend called for security from the cabin phone. We stayed pressed up against the door to prevent him from getting in. When we finally heard other voices outside, we heard security yelling at him to stop what he's doing. I thought there was going to be some big fight, and the man would retaliate, but it sounded like he just listened to the security. We could hear him being detained, and we figured it was now safe to open our door. After about a half an hour of explaining to security what happened, we soon found out the grisly details of what this man was doing. Only 2 cabin doors down from us was where that man and his wife were staying. They were going to ask her some questions about her husband, but found out she had been stabbed over 40 times in the chest and neck.
Jeez Louise! Man, he probably snapped over his wife saying something to him, and they started an argument, and then he killed her. But then that wasn't enough. He wanted to cause more harm to other guests. When they get back to port, I would not only have him arrested, but have him confined to an insane asylum until he's gone. Because it seems like he's not only need mental health, but he don't deserve to be out in the streets anymore. But thankfully, the security guards got up there quick and detained him.
The man had used an ice pick that was in their cabin freezer. After he mutilated his wife, for some reason, he wandered over to our cabin and was asking to come in. He had the ice pick in his hand when he was knocking, and I'm positive he would have killed me and my boyfriend if I had not looked in the peephole first. The weird thing about this whole story is I remember seeing that man in the breakfast lounge with his wife. They seemed like a normal, happy couple enjoying a cruise vacation. My boyfriend later explained to me that he probably caught cabin fever and just snapped. This experience actually left such a traumatic imprint on me that I was unable to continue my relationship with my boyfriend. Sad, I know, but that's how badly it messed me up. I've since gotten better, but believe me when I say, I will never step foot on a cruise ship again.
I mean, you couldn't let this haunt you for the rest of your life and kind of split ties with your boyfriend and not go on a cruise ship ever again. You should know that that person is probably locked up behind bars or in a mental hospital. He probably couldn't wait to port in New York just to get back off the ship. He just went psycho, crazy on her. So here's a lesson for all of us. If you have bad nerves or you have psychotic breakdowns, then you might want to bring some medication with you if you're going on a long cruise, because like this person, you might feel like you're trapped in a box and you might lose control of yourself. But man, that's really messed up that a man would do that to his wife.
How would you define evil? Is it a human murdering another human? Is it doing harm to the innocent? Whatever evil is to you, this story is exactly that. Listen to this. Back in 2019, my family and I went on a cruise vacation for 5 days. It was Christmas time, and this was our usual family tradition. We would take a cruise to the Caribbean islands, and then be back by Christmas Eve. It was actually a great holiday vacation. Anyway, I believe it was our last night on the ship. We were heading back to our port in Fort Lauderdale. My sister and I were walking around the ship pretty late. By the way, I was 22 at the time of the story. But we were walking around close to the bow of the ship when we both suddenly heard these horrific screams. My sister is a nurse, so we both immediately ran over to where we heard the screams. We got to the very back of the ship and saw this woman standing by the rails, laughing hysterically.
Okay, first of all, I don't want to plan no cruise in Christmas time because I'd rather be going towards either like mountains or some sort of festive colonial town maybe to do a little holiday vacation before Christmas Eve and day rolls around. I mean, it would be nice to go on a cruise around Christmas time, but some people like to do it like after Christmas, before New Year's. I stick to tradition and just go to more of the other vacation hotspots in the States. and then spend time with your family on Christmas Eve and day. But that also would be crazy to see someone standing by the bow and they're laughing hysterically. I'll be like, holy crap, do we have a psychopath on board? Or somebody just had a nervous breakdown. You just don't know, but let's just see what happens next, shall we?
A little confused, we both approached her cautiously, asking her if everything was okay because we heard screaming. The woman, who had to be in her mid-30s, started to laugh even harder now. My sister and I were about to leave this weird woman alone when she started to point her finger over the railing, like she wanted to show us something. My sister and I stepped up to the railing and looked down. Down in the black ocean below, barely visible, were two young children thrashing in the water, trying to stay afloat. When I tell you my heart sank into my stomach, I am not exaggerating. My sister immediately ran off screaming for help. I stayed with the woman, who was still laughing hysterically. I remember she even bent over the railing and started waving at the children as if they were going off to school. She called out saying, "Bye kids, mommy loves you." And at that point, every cell in my body wanted to attack this woman. But I just froze. Like I literally thought at any moment I was going to wake up in my crew's cabin and this would all be some hellish nightmare. But it wasn't a nightmare. It was real. Crew members came to the bow in 2 minutes. They threw life preservers down below for the children to grab onto. In the meantime, crew members were hastily preparing to lower an emergency lifeboat to save them. This is something that I didn't know happens. When someone is overboard, the captain of the ship signals a distress sound, letting the whole crews know the situation. This signal was blaring, and the emergency lifeboat finally went into the water, trying to save the kids. But even from this distance, I could see that the kids were floating motionless in the dark ocean. When the lifeboat was finally hoisted back up to the ship, the disturbing truth was revealed. Both children had died. And here is what still haunts my dreams. The mother was rocking on her feet, laughing, and saying, "Oh good, no more children, I'm free." And I could not believe it. When we docked to the port the next day, there was a battalion of police cars waiting to arrest this mother. And I don't know all the details, but I do know that she was charged with first-degree murder. Her children were 8 and 6 years old. So yes, I know everyone has a different definition of evil, but I have to believe that this mother was absolutely evil. And yes, my sister and I are still traumatized to this day. And yes, my family and I will never get back on a cruise ship again.
Okay, I am really furious. You're supposed to go on a cruise and have a good time, but you did not expect to see a woman throw her kids that were 8 and 6 out in the water. I'd be like, what in the actual crap was she thinking? Unless she had a mental breakdown and said she couldn't handle them no more. Well, that tells you right there that that woman is not responsible enough to be a mother. I'm glad they got the children out of the water, but I hated that he said it was too late. Oh man, I'm glad that the police got her and charged her. But they need to lock her up for life or give her lethal injection for doing that. But then a lot of people would argue and say, oh, she probably had a mental breakdown or she was on some medication that a psychiatrist probably prescribed to her. We don't know. But that is really creepy, disturbing, and downright horrifying all at the same time. I'm just glad that those girls did not get injured by this lady. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more spooky vibes content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man Squirrel channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor. I said that's a wrap, and have a nice day, y'all.